docket, and a member will call it up. It is always in order at any point to, for any member of the committee to make a motion to add a bill. Now, the committee can choose not to do it, but it's in order to do so. You've chosen not to saying that it is out of order. Let me suggest a couple of things. One thing is that in the chairman's very opening comments on this subject, she used the terminology. The chairman used the terminology of recommendation by the subcommittee. And that is in fact what it is. The subcommittee vote is a recommendation to this full committee. It is not a final act. It is not a dispositive act. It is an act that then that makes a recommendation to this full committee that this full committee then must act upon. And that has been the tradition in the Senate, whether it's been in the House or not. And finally, I might add, this vote is a vote right now on the issue of whether or not we would in fact hear these bills. And this particular bill that's been requested right now. And it's the repeal amendment, and if you vote no, if you vote yes to sustain the committee chairman's ruling that it is out of order to hear that bill, then you're saying that the full committee is not willing to take dispositive action, that it's willing to yield to the few members that are on the subcommittee. And I would suggest that that is quite harmful to the integrity of the process.
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair, this is my 20th year up here, 10 years on the other side and 10 years over here. And in my time up here, I've never known a situation where the chair of a committee did not control the docket of bills to be heard by the committee. The chair of this committee said last week that this docket would be set by 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon. The docket was set, and it's entirely within the chair's discretion to decide what bills are on that docket and what order they're heard. I hope that we will sustain the ruling of the chair.
Madam Chair.
Senator McEachin.
Madam Chair, I would just remind the members that this is exactly what we did after crossover last year. I don't recall hearing the objections voiced. Of course, we're always wiser one year, the following year than we perhaps were the previous year. But the precedent has been set. This is exactly what we did after crossover last year. And as Senator Deeds has said, this is the tradition of both sides of this legislature, both the House and the Senate, that the chair has the ability to set the docket. And so I too would join in Senator Deeds' comments and hope that we will sustain the ruling of the chair.
Madam Chairman, I have a question for Senator Deeds.
Senator Martin.
Senator Deeds, a few moments ago you spoke to the 20 years, and I agree with you as to the chairman's right to set the docket. That is absolutely correct. But is it not also correct in those 20 years that it has always been in order to make a motion to add a bill to take up a bill that the chairman has chosen not to put on the docket? Is that not true in all cases? In all cases.
Madam Chair, I would say that motions are made and can be made at any time, but the chair is the one that makes parliamentary rulings, and that's been the way it's always been. And the issue is ultimately whether we're going to set the precedent here of overruling a chair.
Madam Chairman, parliamentary inquiry.
Senator Obenshain.
Upon what basis does the chair rule the motion to add the bill to the agenda out of order?
I believe it's out of order.
On what basis,
Yeah,
Madam Chairman?
Madam Chair, I would suggest to the senator that it is out of order because it is contrary to the chair's initial statement as to how she was going to handle the business of this committee, given this session that was stated open and honestly at the very beginning. I would also suggest that it is out of order because it is contrary to the traditions and practices of the Senate. The famous cup, as the minority leader took such joy in teaching me in my first days as a member of the Virginia Senate. And so for those reasons, I believe that it is appropriate that it is out of order.
Further parliamentary inquiry, Madam Chairman, either to Madam Chairman or to Senator McEachin. I would ask the chair or Senator McEachin or anyone to cite me to a rule of the Senate or to a rule of parliamentary procedure upon which the chair has ruled that this motion to add a bill to the agenda is out of order. And hearing none, I would ask the chair to withdraw the ruling.
I would respond that it is the custom and practice of the Senate for the chair to set the agenda, and that is my ruling. We now have a motion on the floor to sustain the ruling of the chair. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Martin?
No.
Senator Deeds?
Yes.
Senator Whipple?
Yes.
Senator Obenshain?
No.
Senator Puckett?
Yes.
Senator Edwards?
Yes, by five.
Senator Blevins? Senator McEachin?
Yes.
Senator Peterson?
Yes.
Senator Smith?
No.
Senator Barker?
Yes.
Senator Northam?
Yes.
Senator Vogel?
No.
Senator McWaters?
No.
Senator Howe? 9 yeas, 6 nays.
Thank you. Now, as I was beginning to say with with Delegate Cole,
Parliamentary
we
inquiry.
have Senator Obenshain.
Madam Chairman, I would move to add Senate Bill 808 to the agenda of this committee.
I will
Madam Chair,
say that motion is out of order.
Appeal the ruling of the chair.
Madam Chair,
Senator McEachin.
I understand where Senator Obenshain is going, and where I for one, am happy to accommodate him in due course. But I wonder if he might, in deference to Delegate Cole, hold those motions in abeyance so that Delegate Cole can present his bill and get about his business.
If I can respond briefly, I think that we may be able to reach some accommodation in that regard, which is a matter of courtesy that I would be willing to extend. I would point out that this is a parliamentary body in which we work, and if we are not going to abide by fundamental principles of parliamentary procedure, or the rules upon which this body operates and has operated, if we are simply going to apply blunt force in essentially silencing someone who wants to bring forward to a committee a bill which rightfully ought to be heard by this committee, upon which we have an obligation to our constituents and the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia to vote, I think that we are undermining the foundations of this representative democracy here in the cradle of our republic. And I respectfully submit that this is a dangerous road down which the majority seeks to go on this issue. And I would ask during the interim, before we address these issues further, that the majority would consider pondering these issues and the impact of this ruling upon the traditions of the Senate and the impact on the conduct of affairs in a parliamentary body such as the Senate of Virginia.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. If I
Senator
could,
McWaters.
yeah, if I could just comment, please. Being still fairly new to this body and trying to understand these processes, I do want to make sure that our length of time of service doesn't affect our decorum and our ability to work through these matters. Because I do think that even though all of us are very busy, if we have to extend these sessions, I think there's ways of accomplishing that. We're here. Most of us stay here overnight, and so I think there's opportunities to extend these meetings as long as we need to. So I would be reluctant to say that one of the arguments that I would agree with is that time does not allow good discussion and good debate for people who have significant concerns for their livelihood and for the Commonwealth. I would also just ask, because again I'm new, and I for the first time saw this March 12th Rules of the Senate document by the President of the Senate, suggesting rules that had been adopted on January 18th, 2010. And again, being new, I assumed these rules were adopted and we all agreed to them, or perhaps that was not the case. Can you or someone clarify, and I can hand you this document, you're probably familiar with it. I'm just trying to understand how the process works.
Madam Chair,
Senator
I would
McEachin.
direct that same comment that I just made to Senator McWaters. We can do all this and we can stay here till the wee hours in the morning doing it. Just in deference to Delegate Cole, can we please let him present his bill so that he can go on about his business?
Well, I think that would be fine, Madam Chair. I don't know if there's anyone else, though, that has a brief comment, because this happens to be kind of the opportunity to be in the moment. But if none of my other colleagues have a comment.
I would like to suggest that we quickly deal with Senator Obenshain's motion. It is on the floor, and then hopefully we will be able to hear from Delegate Cole. And I do apologize. When I asked him to come today, I said it would be quick, and I did not realize.
Madam Chair, I apologize, too.
I'm sorry.
Madam, and in an effort to accommodate the concerns of the chair and Senator McKeachin, allow me, and I think I can streamline this a little bit in an effort to be collegial. I guess as a matter of parliamentary inquiry, am I correct in understanding that it will be the rule of the chair that any motion to add a bill to the agenda of this committee that has received a negative recommendation from any subcommittee will be ruled out of order?
That is my intention.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Can we now hear from Delegate Cole? Okay, Delegate Cole.
We can roll all of these together. My motion would be to add Senate Bill 808, Senate Bill 864, Senate Bill 1203, Senate Joint Resolution 301, Senate Joint Resolution 323, Senate Joint Resolution 353, Senate Joint Resolution 360 to the docket of this committee today as being the bills that were purportedly killed in subcommittee. That would be my motion, Madam Chairman.
Second.
That is, all right, it has been moved and seconded that they be added to the docket. I am ruling that motion out of order.
Madam Chairman, in order to play this completely through, I would appeal the ruling of the chair, and putting that in the negative, I suppose, ask the committee to affirm the ruling of the chair, with my recommendation being to vote no. And for the same grounds with respect to these bills that I articulated with respect to the repeal amendment, which was the subject of Senator McDougall's bill. And I would respectfully submit that, as Senator Martin pointed out, a no vote on this is, or a yes vote to sustain the ruling of the chair is tantamount to a vote against each of these bills.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that the ruling of the chair be sustained. All in favor, please, well, no, let's call the roll.
Senator Martin,
No.
Senator Deeds,
Yes.
Senator Whipple,
Yes.
Senator Obenshain, Senator Puckett,
Yes.
Senator Edwards,
Aye.
Senator Blevins, Senator McKeachin,
Yes.
Senator Peterson,
Aye.
Senator Smith,
No.
Senator Barker,
Yes.
Senator Northam,
Yes.
Senator Vogel,
No.
Senator McWaters,
No.
Senator Howe.
Yes,
9 yeas, 6 nays.
thank you. The ruling of the chair is sustained. Now, Delegate Cole.